Hello everyone, my name is Jada Lee Marie. I am a musical artist as well as a therapist in training. So I recently discovered Tricia Hersey. I hope I'm getting her name right, but she wrote a manifesto on the concept of rest being resistance. And so I haven't read the book yet, and I'm no expert, but from watching some videos and reading up about it some, the rest resistance movement talks about how rest is a form of opposition toward white supremacy and capitalism. And so I thought that was really cool, and I found a dope Vogue article that I'm going to list down in the description. But I really wanted to talk about how this concept applies to my life and what I'm currently doing to rest in order to reach liberation and just be liberated and be free through forms of rest, because I feel like that it's really a different way of finding that liberation, and it's just a different way of being able to resist and oppose our current society. And it also does foster really healthy ways to cope and to help our mental health. So for my entire life, I've been surrounded by really hardworking people, and it's been really commendable to see people I'm surrounded by really love their work and be surrounded by those who do work hard and who do get really successful outcomes in life when it comes to work. With that being said, there was also an idea in my mind that if you're busy all the time, that means that you are being productive. And productive means, good. And it also equals quality, and it also equals meaning in life. And I've said this before in one of my previous videos, but a lot of times when I'm on my phone or I'm watching YouTube or watching shows, or when I really don't feel like I'm doing much or anything deemed productive, I really feel guilty about it, because I feel like my life and my goals are being stunted, like I'm not actually progressing with my life. If I'm doing things such as watching shows or even just like reading a fiction book or something, there's a pressure, especially when you're young, to like keep working, to keep constantly doing something and pushing yourself and finding just different innovative ways to work, to forward your career, to better your interpersonal relationships, to develop yourself personally, to improve, to increase the quality of your life. It's consistently go, go, go. And our society rewards that behavior. It reinforces that mindset. And so when it comes to rest, I often get lethargic and tired a lot. And I do end up taking naps most days out of the week. And so my idea of rest was, getting 8 hours of sleep every day and, throw in an occasional nap here and there. But even though I'm napping, even though I'm getting the required amount of sleep I should be getting every single day, I still feel exhausted. I still feel tired when I wake up. I take my vitamins, I am physically active, I eat fairly healthy, but I'm still tired at the end of the day. And so I'm resting, right? So like, why do I feel so tired all the time? And I recognize that my relationship with rest was solely on that sleep component. It was only on that getting 8 hours of sleep, napping for like 20-30 minutes throughout the day. But rest isn't just limited to us sleeping, to how much sleep we're getting. So the official definition that I Googled on Merriam-Webster on what rest is quote, repose, sleep, freedom from activity or labor. So yes, rest includes sleep. We all know that sleep is important to get, but it also includes that freedom from labor, freedom from activity, that liberation from work. Resting includes things that bring you joy, that bring you happiness, that relaxes you. Things that are not considered work, that you do not consider labor. You're able to be refreshed, energized, rejuvenated, and liberated from taking time out to rest. And I do want to note that, unfortunately, people are not guaranteed or given the privilege to this type of rest. There are people, there are communities, there are certain demographics that have to work and be in the labor force and have no choice to rest due to their circumstances out of their control. So I do want to recognize that this is also a privilege that is not afforded to everyone, especially working and lower class Black Americans. So if you do have the privilege to find or make time for rest, it is really important to acknowledge that. And I do want to focus on that aspect and giving yourself that time to rest. And so Dr. Saundra Dalton-Smith, who is the author of Sacred Rest, provided 7 types of rest that can help alleviate burnout and exhaustion. So we're going to get into those types of rest now. So the first type of rest is physical rest, and this is just not moving the body or not exhausting the body. And so this includes the physical aspect of sleeping or napping or just lying down. This can also include forms of physical activity that is not strenuous on the body and that can provide relaxation. I'm thinking of yoga being a form of physical rest, stretching, and even getting a massage. The second type of rest is mental rest. So this is something that is a struggle of mine personally, and I'm sure is a struggle of many other people, because of my brain's constant feeling of being on overdrive and just filled with thoughts and plans and a bunch of different things. One way to practice mental rest is through meditation. And I know that those with symptoms of anxiety or who are diagnosed with anxiety disorders often struggle with meditating. And so it's not really a practical form to practice when it comes to mental rest. But other ways that you can practice this type of rest is by going on walks and listening to music or a podcast, journaling out whatever thoughts that may come up for you, and just finding time to be away from work or being away from tasks that demand your attention. So the next type of rest is called sensory rest. And so in this fast-paced world, especially with technology and social media at our fingertips, we can be sucked into a world of content and overstimulated with the amount of information that we're receiving every second. So the main example of sensory rest is giving ourselves 30, 45 plus minutes a day, or just before going to bed, to spend our time doing an activity that does not require our phones, that does not require a screen, or any usage of technology. And so reading, drawing, anything that you are interested in, anything that we're interested in that does not include our using our phones. And even if it's throughout the day, so like gardening, taking a walk somewhere, or talking to friends in person, these are all ways that we can cultivate sensory rest. We also have emotional rest. And so oftentimes we are asked about the state of our well-being through the question, how are you? Or how are you doing? And we usually respond with, fine, or I'm doing well, when that actually might not be the case. We just want to say this out of convenience for the other person or convenience for ourselves. And this often suppresses our authenticity and leads us to hold on to these emotions. It leads us to repress these emotions, to deal with them later, to the point where maybe we don't even get around to dealing with them, and they're bottled up and they're expressed in some other type of way that may not benefit or may not serve us healthily. And so one way of cultivating emotional rest is to genuinely tell a friend your true emotions. Genuinely tell someone how you are doing at that given moment, at that time during that day. And it is difficult to be vulnerable, but it can also allow for that freedom to release yourself of holding so much weight on your own. Cultivating a space for emotional rest, talking to loved ones who allow for your emotions to be released and accepted, as well as even journaling those feelings if there's no one that you are able to talk to at that moment, can help with resting emotionally. Next up, we have social rest. And so this is all about discovering what gives you energy, what social interactions or just time spent by yourself, just figuring out what it is that fuels your battery, your social battery. Finding ways to energize ourselves, whether that be going out with friends, talking to loved ones, interacting with those around you. And that can include, spending a night in with a glass of wine by ourselves, reading a good book, going out to dinner with friends and catching up, or even having both. There's that sense of introversion, extroversion, ambiversion, I think is the right term, when there's both. And so figuring out ways that does fuel your social battery or just fuel you as a person, and figuring out that routine, finding those activities that you enjoy doing. We have creative rest as another form of rest. So as a creative, I sometimes get creative block, and I get frustrated that I'm not feeling creative or forming ideas when I feel like I need to get things done. There's no specific timeline for me, but it's more so the idea that I'm not forming ideas. So one way to practice creative rest in order to refuel those creative juices, again, is to be immersed in art or whatever creative outlet you are drawn to from others. And so allowing yourself to receive that feeling, allowing yourself to indulge in creativity instead of feeling like we also have to contribute. A lot of times, I'll go to a music festival or a concert or with anyone performing musically, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do this, I have to do that. But instead, I'm allowing myself to enjoy the performance, to enjoy that creator make art right in front of my face. And yes, that inspiration will come to me, but really indulging in that and just allowing myself to enjoy something that is shared, something that I love to do and that I'm seeing other people do as well, can really help me cultivate that creative rest. We are contributing by just receiving. And this can help us to reconnect with our creativity. And last but not least, we have spiritual rest. So one does not necessarily need to be spiritual or practice a religion or spirituality to rest in this realm. This really just means connecting with our purpose and with our community in order to gauge our souls. So this can look like a bunch of different things, and it can include volunteering for an organization in which our values are strongly aligned with. This can also include meditating, and if you are religious, this does include going to church or attending whatever religious service it is that you belong to and that you do feel called to. And I've also linked an article describing all of these 7 types of rest in more detail, if anyone wants to check that out and read more about it. And so I've been intentionally slowing down and trying to practice these types of rest in my everyday life. This looks different for everyone, and so I'm just giving my experience with this so far and what I've been doing to cultivate rest and to make sure I'm really getting that rest instead of me just, sleeping and still feeling tired. So really just listening to myself and what type of rest that I need at that moment. So the main one is with me setting boundaries with work. So after 5 p.m., I put do not disturb on my emails. I don't check my emails. I make sure that is put away and that I don't receive any notifications related to work. And so that I have scheduled out that time to do whatever I need to do to rest. And if I do have work that is unfinished, I will simply be able to, put that on for the next day, or be able to work on it for the next day, or whenever I'm able to work again, or whenever I'm able to schedule out time to work again. This helps so that work isn't occupying my full time every single day and my evening throughout the week. And the same goes for the morning time. I refrain from checking my work emails until I've finished my entire routine and I'm ready to work again at 9:30 in the morning. So now I freed up more time for me to focus on resting. And this rest for me includes watching a TV show or a movie that I've been meaning to watch. I have a list of shows recommended to me by friends that I still have to get on top of and that I'm very excited to be watching. And so going through that list, and that is what brings me joy, that brings me comfort. And even watching comfort shows, watching comfort movies. I also love Studio Ghibli films. So I will watch one of my favorite films. I'll watch Spirited Away or Howl's Moving Castle, because that really relaxes me and calms me and does make me feel like I'm truly resting. And so this might sound counterintuitive to some, but this goes under the realm of physical rest. I do love to take walks, especially when I'm overwhelmed, or when there's just a lot going on and I need to clear my head. I go on walks as a form of rest sometimes. And I don't walk with purpose, I don't walk with an end destination in mind. I'm walking to rest, and so I'm walking to get fresh air. I'm walking to clear my mind. I'm not walking with a rhyme nor a reason. It's just to explore my neighborhood, explore the outside, really be present with what's around me. And I also love music, so I'll just put on my favorite playlist. And if I'm walking, or even when I'm inside, also I'll just jam out to my favorite songs. Although this is a form of rest to me, it energizes me as well. I journal a lot also, and I write down my thoughts and my feelings as a way to process my day, process my experiences. And I feel like this has helped me to just get everything out. And so again, this is a form of mental rest. For me, it's just being able to just jot everything down, get it out of my head onto paper, and rest in that way. And I also find enjoyment and I find rest in reading books. Currently, I am reading a book called It's All Love, and it's basically just a collection of Black writers on their experiences with love, with soulmates, with friendships, with family, and it's a very beautiful book so far. And it's really also just been helping me to cultivate that sensory rest and to just really feel immersed in the book, and just clear my mind, clear my head, especially before bed, so that I'm not on my phone scrolling through TikTok. So I've been actively doing all of these things when I have the time to do so. And I've been feeling a lot more rested and a lot more refreshed and energized. And so I feel more ready for my day, and I feel more ready for the next day and just for the week ahead in general. So I've definitely been finding it really helpful, and it definitely makes a huge difference compared to when I only really just rested in terms of getting that physical sleep or just napping throughout the day. So rest can come in many forms, so many forms, and is becoming a silent but a strong movement. Finding ways to rest that work for you may help in being able to cultivate a more balanced life and have a more balanced lifestyle in general. And there's nothing wrong with slowing down and owning and taking back your own time. And so everything that I've talked about thus far, including the books, articles about rest, being resistant, everything I will link down in the description below for everyone to check out if you are interested. And I want to thank you all for chatting, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.